Welcome everyone to a brand new top 10. My name is Matthew Santoro, and today we are going to talk about death. So death is generally a scary topic for most people. See, scary. It's frightening because it's the ultimate event, the one thing that we have to eventually face that you can't come back from. Or can you? Well, surprisingly, throughout history, there have been documented accounts of some people who not only survived an event that should have killed them, but they did it against all odds. So, in this video, we are going to focus on those events that were so astonishing they might make you wonder if these people had a little superhero in them. So here they are, 10 people who unbelievably cheated death. Number 1 is Eric LEMARQUE. In March 2003, former Olympic hockey player Eric LEMARQUE was out snowboarding in the Sierra Nevada mountains when a heavy fog sent him way off course along the 11,000-foot slope. He tried for days to make it back to civilization, but unbeknownst to him, he was actually heading in the exact opposite direction, heading only deeper into the dangerous wilderness. Unbelievably, despite what should have been a life-ending mistake, Eric survived for 8 days in the snow until he was found by a team that was actually sent out to collect what they expected to be his corpse. To put this into context, before this ordeal, the longest time that anyone had survived that kind of terrain was only 3 days. However, his survival did come at a cost, as he lost both of his feet to frostbite. You know, as sad as that is, if you ask me, it's not that bad of a trade-off. Better to be a little stumpy than a little dead. Number 2 is TAMI OLDHAM ASHCRAFT. In September of 1983, TAMI OLDHAM ASHCRAFT and her fiance Richard Sharp set out from Tahiti on a 44-foot sailboat with the goal of delivering it to San Diego. However, just 3 weeks into the trip, a Category 4 hurricane hit. For those of you that don't know, that is the second worst hurricane you can have, so yeah, it was bad. The boat immediately capsized and Richard was washed overboard. Now alone and completely terrified, Tammy managed to summon her courage and make a makeshift sail, pointing what was left of the boat towards Hawaii. Surviving on only a jar of peanut butter and a few cans of food, she amazingly survived 41 days until she finally reached land, which ended up being a 1,500-mile journey. Yeah, I don't know what she did after that, but I would hope that it would include buying a lottery ticket because winning! Number 3 is Aron Ralston. In April 26, 2003 in Wayne County, Utah, Aron Ralston experienced a climbing accident in which his right arm became trapped between a large boulder and a canyon wall. Now, if this story sounds familiar to you, it's because it was made famous by the movie 127 Hours starring James Franco. Aron survived for 5 days on only 2 burritos and a bottle of water, ultimately resorting to drinking his own urine when he ran out. But it got to the point where he finally realized that no one was coming for him and that he was doomed to death. So Ralston did the unthinkable and pulled out a dull pocket knife to amputate his own arm. Then, after hacking off his own limb, he somehow managed to rappel down the canyon and walked for several hours until he finally found rescue. Wow, now that is impressive. A tragic story turned lucky. Plus he was played by James Franco? Man, I would give my right arm for that. Wait. Number 4 is Stephen CALLAHAN. In January of 1982, Stephen CALLAHAN was sailing from the Canary Islands when his boat sank just after 6 days into the trip. Left adrift on a 5-foot life raft, CALLAHAN managed to salvage only 3 pounds of food and 8 pints of water. However, despite having extremely limited supplies, he managed to survive and travel almost 1,800 miles, dealing with dehydration, leaks in the raft, and yes, even shark attacks. After a harrowing 76 days in the open ocean, CALLAHAN eventually was rescued by fishermen in the Caribbean. Not only did this guy fight off Jaws, but he did it while being starved and dehydrated. That's like being like, Somebody give this man a reality show. Number 5 is Norman Ollestad Jr. On February 19th of 1979, a plane carrying Norman Ollestad Jr. and 3 others encountered a sudden blizzard and crashed in the San Gabriel Mountains in California. With his father and the pilot both dead, Norman attempted to help his father's girlfriend off the mountain, but she didn't make it. Now, alone and without food, water, or even gloves to stay warm, he descended the mountain alone. alone. But somehow, amazingly, Norman turned his sneakers into makeshift skis and used 2 sticks as poles to travel down the mountain. And 9 hours later, when Norman reached the base of the mountain, he was finally rescued, a feat made even more impressive by the fact that he was only an 11-year-old boy. An 11-year-old figured all of that out? Man, if I went skiing with real skis, I'd probably break my leg within the first 10 minutes. Either this kid is a genius or I'm just a little slow. Number 6 is Matt Suter. On March 12th of 2006 in Fordland, Missouri, 19-year-old Matt Suter was trying to secure a window in his grandmother's trailer when suddenly a tornado packed with 150-mile-an-hour winds touched down. Tearing off the front and back doors, the twister threw furniture in every direction and sucked him right through the window. However, miraculously, minutes later, Matt awoke in a field over 1,300 feet from where he'd been with only minor scrapes and bruises. The tornado had actually picked him up and carried him away as the trailer was completely destroyed, only to leave him safely outside the devastation. Come here, young man, I'm a tornado, I'll take care of you. The only sad part about this story is how much validity it gives to the science involved in the movie Sharknado. What a shame. Number 7 is Ricky McGee. On January 23rd of 2006, after picking up a hitchhiker who ended up drugging him, a 35-year-old named Ricky McGee woke up under a tarp and rocks only to find that dingoes were trying to eat him. If you didn't know, dingoes are essentially wild dogs, and yeah, you don't want them nibbling on your bum. After scaring them away, he found himself lost and alone in the Australian outback. That's not a place you want to be. Ricky managed to survive over 71 days eating leeches, snakes, and frogs, and drinking water from a stream that he found, not to mention, yes, his own urine. A lot of pee in this video. When a rancher finally came upon the man's makeshift campsite, he described him as a walking skeleton. Ricky lost over 125 pounds during his ordeal, but amazingly, he survived. Damn, you know, he should really market this. The Survivor Diet. Lose 125 pounds in 71 days or your money back. Or death. Death is more likely. Number 8 is Harrison Okene. In the early morning of May 26, 2013, a tugboat carrying 12 crew members capsized and sank in the Atlantic Ocean. However, 100 feet below the surface, Nigerian cook Harrison Okene was the only survivor trapped in an air pocket within the vessel. Now, normally, not many people would be able to survive under those conditions. However, due to the pressure at that depth, the oxygen that he was using fortunately lasted much longer than it normally would. Woo! Science. Somehow, Harrison managed to endure the icy waters for over 3 days, managing to survive on a single bottle of Coca-Cola that he found, while simultaneously avoiding sharks and barracuda that were swimming through the ship's corridors and eating the dead crewmen. I just kind of picture him drinking the Coca-Cola and then smashing the bottle and being like, "Get away, sharks!" Number 9 is Howard G. Ulrich. On July 9th of 1958, Howard Ulrich and his 8-year-old son, Sonny, were out boating on Litua Bay in Alaska when suddenly a huge rock slide created a 1,720-foot high superwave. The mega tsunami destroyed everything in its path, but due to some sort of fairy magic, Howard and his son found their boat untouched. Instead of being completely obliterated, their boat comfortably surfed atop the wave while everything below was devastated. Witnesses claimed the wave and the boat were moving upwards at 600 miles per hour. Damn, that's fast. When they had stopped, their boat was astoundingly right back in the bay where they had started, and neither of them had serious injuries. You know, I wouldn't be surprised if either of them thought that it was all a dream, and that would be pretty plausible if it wasn't for the enormous devastation surrounding them. And number 10, Juliane Koepcke. On Christmas Eve of 1976, 17-year-old Juliane Koepcke was flying in an airplane over the Peruvian rainforest when suddenly lightning struck the right wing, crashing her plane. She somehow survived after finding herself still strapped in her seat in the middle of the jungle. But the ordeal wasn't over yet. yet. The only survivor of the crash, being lost in the rainforest, she followed a stream for 10 days until she finally found a hunter's hut where she managed to dress her wounds and broken collarbone. Unbelievably, just the next day, she was found by hunters and finally brought home to safety. So wait a minute, this girl survived being struck by lightning, a plane crash, a 10-day journey through the harsh jungle, and having broken bones? She's like a female Wolverine. Somebody call the X-Men. Somebody make it happen. And those, my friends, were some of the most amazing ways people have ever cheated death. Yay, survival! As always, if you enjoyed this video, please let me know by clicking that like button and by sharing it on Facebook and Twitter, and I will see you all next Saturday with a brand new video. Peace. Thanks for watching! If you missed my last video, click here. If you want to check out my vlogs, unboxings, and much more, subscribe to my second channel here. And of course, if you want to be notified of my next video on this channel, be sure to click that big red subscribe button below. And of course, I haven't forgot about all of you watching on your phones or tablets, because all of the links I just mentioned will be in the description below. I love you guys, and I will see you next week. Have a great week. Bye!